Okay, we get it. The internet is not very keen on the whole BMW Toyota thing. So, in order to make sure we don't mention it too much in this video, the producers are going to fine me £1 for every time that I mention BMW during this video, and they'll use it to pay for their beer or something later. There's no denying the Supra has courted controversy over its gestation. The tie-up with a certain German manufacturer went down about as well as the idea of Brexit. But after all the chat, all the arguing and all the anger, the car is actually here. So is it any good? Well, and I'll be upfront about this, the new Toyota Supra has suffered in precisely no ways from its tie-up with a certain Bavarian convertible. Under the bonnet, you'll find a 3-litre turbocharged straight 6 producing around 335 horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque, which is directed straight through a dual-clutch gearbox to only the rear wheels and will propel the Supra, or to give it its full name, the Toyota Gazoo Racing Supra, to 62 miles an hour in 4.3 seconds. Now I have some very good news for you. This car looks a lot better in the flesh than it did in any of the original pictures. They've dispensed with the rear seats from the old Supra and they've turned it into a traditional 2-seater sports car, still retaining that front engine and rear-wheel drive. And when you look at it from almost every angle, this thing screams muscle. It's got those big, wide haunches, that aggressive angular rear end right the way through to everything at the front, including those rather controversial vents at the front. And one of the small details I really like about this car is that beautiful double bubble roof, and the fact that when you're sat in the driver's seat, the view of those is replicated forwards because of the big haunches at the front. And the second thing is that because those A-pillars are painted black, if you look at the whole side of the car, it really looks like the old Toyota 2000 GT. Unfortunately, that's exactly what they were going for. Inside, the new Supra is very nicely laid out, an advantage of that tie-up with BMW. But you'll find a lot of very nice switchgear in here, certainly on this centre binnacle, and the iDrive system out of the BMW Z4. But none of that really matters, does it? BMW make good systems and they're all here. It means that the infotainment system here is brilliant. And once you look forward and are driving, everything is Supra. You've got a Toyota steering wheel, the binnacle is very much of its own. And one thing I particularly enjoy is the view out of the wing mirrors where you see those massive muscular haunches. Start the car and the aural accompaniment to the Supra isn't particularly noticeable. The straight 6 under that long bonnet makes a decent enough noise in sport mode at the top of the rev range, but it's a little muted for our tastes most of the time. Perhaps another sign that the GR Supra is a car ready for the hordes of tuners about to descend upon it. Stick your foot down though, and that 3-litre 6 makes a lot more sense. It certainly feels like there's a lot more than just 335 horsepower under the bonnet. When you do put your foot down, there's quite a significant lurch backwards, sort of like this is a big American muscle car rather than a Japanese sports car. And that lurch may make you feel a little bit concerned when you get to a corner, however you absolutely shouldn't be. The new Supra has bags of front-end grip and is aided by a rather quick rack which allows you to pitch the car into corners almost at will. It's the rear end that has a little bit more fun. When you crest all 500 newton meters of torque from the back, it starts to squirm a tiny bit. It doesn't complain, rather it gets ready to come into action. It feels, if anything, a little bit like one of those smaller M cars from BMW. The Supra is a car that inspires confidence with all that front-end grip, but with a little bit more fun provided from the rear. The 19-inch rear tyres do a good job of gathering up the significant torque demand sent to them, and the chassis deals with everything rather nicely. One thing I particularly like about this new Supra is the fact that when you're done playing around and you're done being whatever kind of hero you want to be, you take it out of sports mode and it changes from being a Japanese sports car to being a Japanese Grand Tourer. It settles down, and these seats, which hold you incredibly well, become incredibly comfortable again. And it feels like the car is ready to cross continents, say, making a trip from Bavaria to Japan. The Supra lives in a car segment where there is a huge amount of variety. You could choose the Porsche Cayman if you want that precision implement that's going to get you everywhere the fastest possible, or you could choose an Alpine A110 if you want to have absolute bags of fun. What the Supra does magnificently is sit between the two. The front end on this car is astonishingly precise, while the rear feels like you could have a lot of fun, which sits it exactly between its two biggest rivals. And at £54,000, it challenges them pretty much on equal terms. So what are the Supra's big headlines then? Is it just a Z4 with a roof, the soulless product of a crossover that should never have happened? Absolutely not. Toyota are very insistent that their car goes in a very different direction to the Z4. And, while there's a definite splash of German refinement in there, the Supra is very much its own car. It's as refined as anything else on the market, but also brings a little bit extra in the styling department. Don't let those naysayers fool you. The Supra is a serious contender.